It's I give this guy a lot of credit, and I think you can be a sports star and an extraordinary sports star, enjoy the accolades and enjoy the momentum of a brilliant career. I mean, Steve Garvey really did carry his baseball prowess and all of that into the private sector. His personality and his profile extended beyond baseball. But now I think maybe one of his more challenging efforts to become the senator in California. He joins us now for a bit of a conversation that we will and will entertain all. How about it for Steve Garvey, everybody?
Thank you, Mark. Thanks. Great to be with you and Kim and Albert. Albert, could you keep going with those stats?
Yeah.
We may have to hire you to introduce me. So.
Yeah, Albert, you
Albert, thank you.
You got to admit, Commish, that Garvey also clutch, right? He's a clutch player.
Yeah, two-time NLCS MVP. That's being really good at a really important time. So it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Steve Garvey, now we have a lot of people in Northern California and Northern and Central California, Giants fans, Sacramento also. And I really want them to hear from you because I think there's a lot of Southern California connect to you. Sure. I also would love for people who at least be able to connect with you and hear you anyway in northern parts of the state. You want to be the senator for the whole state. What were the Giants doing, Albert? You can maybe help me with this also. And Steve Garvey, during the time you were they? Who was on that team? Was that a team that was competitive?
Oh, absolutely. That's going way back to the boroughs of New York. And then, of course, a longer story of Horace Stoneham and the Giants coming out, and Walter O'Malley and the Dodgers, and the long story of O'Malley, was quietly going to come out here. He let everybody know. It got to Stoneham. Stoneham rushed out, took San Francisco. He thought O'Malley was going there. Did this deal for Candlestick Point.
Right. That didn't.
They sniffered him in, and went back to New York and had a press conference. And he said, "Finally, I've got that blank O'Malley. I'm going to California first." 2 days later, O'Malley had a press conference and said, "We're going to L.A." And they said Stoneham was drunk for 2 weeks afterwards. But the rivalry came out to the West Coast. Longer story. I was a bat boy for the Brooklyn Dodgers, spring training in Florida for 6-7 years, so I knew the history. So by the time I made the team, playing the Giants was special to me. And then fast forward 50 years when, I've been considering running for about 4 months before I announced October 8th, when two Giant fans with their hats on came up to me and said, "Garb, we hate the Dodgers, but we'll vote for you." That sealed the deal.
That's a great story. That really is a great story.
But, all the currency of living here for 50 years, loving this state, playing in LA and San Diego, I had a passion for the game. And when you're in the entertainment business, if you realize that you're playing for the people, you're acting for the people, singing for the people, whatever, it's a deeper understanding of commitment and residual. I always say not too many people can go to work in front of 20 or 30,000 people who are critiquing your job every day, and you succeed and fail, but they see who you are. Your passion, your commitment. And then in my case, there's an old saying, the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and then the day you realize why. And I realized that I had this blessed career, and I was able to take it once I retired to helping build businesses and charities and traveling up and down the state. I've spoken all over the state, so it's not new for me to say, and my wife said this to me. She said, you never took the field for Democrats or Republicans, independents, libertarians. You took the field for all the fans. And now you're truly running for all the people of California.
Well, in an increasingly divided country, and even the state of California, I think in some ways we're not governable, or we're barely governable. There are just so many factions here. It's red and blue, but really, dug in hard. Sure. It's good to hear that. So you feel, even though you identified as a GOP candidate, you don't feel an anger toward the Democratic side. You don't feel there's no recrimination on your part toward anything that is happening in the blue part of California.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a team builder. You know, I've built teams. We won championships. I've built, like I said before, companies and work with charities. I'm chairman of a couple of them. If you were to say what do you really feel in your soul that you've been able to accomplish, I said it's unifying people. It's bringing people together. And in this case, it's a one-party state. There's a suppression of any other voices. Good men and women have tried to run, but people have said, oh, in this state, there's no way anybody that's a conservative or in my case, a moderate, who believes in common sense and compassion and consensus has a chance. And then about 9 months ago, I got up in the morning, watched TV, turned it on, just woke up, and there was a dysfunctional Washington. Career politicians were fighting for power and not the people. When I tapped my wife on the shoulder and she said, yeah, I said, let's run for the Senate, honey. And she, as a dutiful wife, turned over the other way, and the women realized it. And then she turned back and she looked at me and she said, with that little smile, don't you think you're a little young? And I said, well, and I thought of the Reagan line. I think I can overcome my youth and inexperience with this. And that began probably 4 months of going around the state, talking to people, asking them about their life. What's their life really like every day? So that I had a feel for, is there a pathway to run in the state for somebody that has my belief about running for the people and not for a job, and not for power, but for them? And then
What
we
do you
decided
see?
on October 8th of all times, day after the Israeli war started.
Sure.
And we still got a lot of traction. So for almost the last 5 months, we've had great momentum because people are standing up and saying, Steve, thank you for running. You know what our life is like. We trust you. You know, we watched you for a long time now, and there's time for change.
The things that frustrate you the most in California would be what?
Well, the separation now between the vanishing middle class, between wealth and welfare. When my career opponents are looking down at the people and telling them, your life's fine. You live in California. You should appreciate living in California. Where in essence, you know, mothers will tell me they get up in the morning trying to figure out what they can feed their children this week. Can they afford steak this week? Can they go out to a fast food restaurant, you know, on Fridays? And then dad goes to the gas station. And I've watched this gas station near us in the mornings, and hardworking Californians come in. They're going to, you know, they used to come in and buy 10 gallons of gas, and now they've been buying $10 worth of gas. So these things that may sound little, you go to the grocery store, it's 20 to 50% more for things like eggs and milk. So it's tough. And this is a good statistic, well founded. 88% of Californians break even or lose money every month. And that's not fair to them. And I remember when I first came here, 70s, this was the heartbeat of America, California. And it's not now. Can it come back? Absolutely. Somebody a fresh race like mine, new ideas, consensus builder, going to Washington 6 years. I'll be a one-term senator. And starting on day one, meeting with all 99 other senators, people say, oh, you can't do that. Trust me, I can do. I've proven that I played 8.5 years straight, 1,207 consecutive games. I can go to every office, reach out my hand and say, I want to work with you for the betterment of the people of your state and for this country. And that's how you start. You reach across the aisle and mean it. And in this state, people are now realizing they haven't had a voice. They have a voice. And we've gone from 0 to almost 25% in less than 5 months now, and building momentum.
You're going to see a broken system if you get to Washington and you meet with all of those. You're going to see special interests. You know how Washington works, even as a civilian looking in. How do you avoid that connection? I mean, it seems as though and you know this very well, in trying to run for public office, you need money. And a lot of these people are beholden to special interests that give them just that. Yeah.
Well, I'm not a politician, obviously. I don't owe anyone anything. I owe the people a lifetime of currency of friendship and knowing each other. And I owe it to them to get up every day, to go to the Senate. I'm going to show up like I did on the baseball field and start to look to first areas of people who want to work together. And then once you start showing success, and it's not going to happen on the first day and the first week, but over time, I would say that first year, 18 months, will make significant inroads. And, it all depends on who has the majority. There seems to be a shift this year. I mean, the timing is right for somebody like me who is a moderate, who wants to work with people, who's one of all the people that if I make this, which I will, we will see change, and people will start feeling good about themselves. It's good. Get back to that free market capitalism, where people get up in the morning, they have a dream, and they know the harder they work, they're gonna realize that. Whereas today, they get up in the morning and they wonder how they're gonna make it work, and their dream's been dulled.
The president is at the border today, and the former president, Donald Trump, also at the border. And obviously, immigration and our border policy is another front and center issue in California. Thoughts on how there might be a strategy in handling that?
Well, I've been to the border. I said in our debates to my opponents haven't been to we've been there. I said, not recently. You don't know what it's like. I started at the corner of San Diego and Tijuana at the ocean with the U.S. Border Patrol. And then we worked our way periodically for 15, 20 months, almost up to Hukumba, where the latest flood of immigrants coming in. And they don't try to run away. 20, 30 people as groups come through an opening in the wall. By the way, there's a couple hundred yards here and there where the wall was supposed to be built under this administration. It stopped, and that's where they're coming in. They stick up their hands, and the Border Patrol said, we become administrators. We take names, we fill out this card, and in 72 hours, they have a debit card for $5,000, maybe $10,000. If they stay in the state of California, they're going to get welfare. But if you ask them where they're from, Venezuela, South Africa, the Chinese, they know where they're going. And in the case of the Chinese, 4,000% influx from October of Chinese. And by the way, they're not in ragged clothes. They're dressed decently. They say, well, we're going to Seattle, going to Atlanta, going to the north. They systematically are starting to infiltrate these United States. So we got to secure the border, one thing. We have a pathway. We have a process to becoming a legal citizen in this country we've had for generations. There are tens of thousands of people around the world who have gone to their embassies in their countries, have done it the right way, register, are waiting to come here and enter this country and then start a process to becoming citizens. But if we secure the border, whatever it takes, it's not the military, maybe the National Guard, the fentanyl that's coming in and drugs, human trafficking. We don't vet these illegal immigrants for medical reasons, so who knows what they're bringing in. We've got to, as soon as we can, once we secure it, re-vetting those that are here, and now finding out if they are terrorists, if they're here for the wrong reasons. So over the last 3 years, 3.5, 10 to 12 million illegal immigrants have come in. That's the war on America, and it's got to stop. We've got to get back to common sense. Compassion, yes, but let's stop this.
What does secure the border mean, asks Randy. Do you have when you say secure the border, what do you mean?
Well, we have to make sure that they go through ports of entry. I'm not so sure like what Texas has done with barbed wire and so forth. Is it effective? Yes. Are they protecting their state? Yes. But this has to be a collaboration between the federal government and the states, making sure they go through the pathway. If they try to go in other places, capture them and send them back. Let's get back to remain in Mexico. That was a great program. I mean, at the end of the last administration, it was 1,000 immigrants a day. And now 6, 8, 10, 12,000. I mean, this is unconscionable because of the stress. And nobody really talks about the American citizen, U.S. citizens, who are at the forefront of all these illegal immigrants coming into the country. Let's have compassion for them first.
I'm getting a lot of this. I only have you for another minute or so, but I'm getting a lot of this, and so I want to give you a chance to a bite at this apple. Yeah. Well, here's an extreme example of what I'm seeing. He supports Trump. Case closed. No on Garvey. You've heard this. You know this. And you are someone who does really quack like a moderate in every way. When I speak to you, when I hear you weigh in on the issues, you really do seem to rep a moderate position. How then can you square that with someone like Trump, who does seem so extreme? This is all through the chat, and I wanted to give you a chance to answer that.
I'm always going to be honest and straightforward. When they asked me in the first debate, I said, listen, I did vote for him twice. I'm not active out there because I have the single most difficult position to run for in the United States, and that's a moderate in the state of California. He's not in my race, nor is anybody else. But I voted for him the first time because his opponent looked down at the American people and called them deplorables. The second time, the man he was running against was sequestered in the basement in his home every day, only came out in a fixed environment with fixed questions. And by the way, nobody's a bigger fan than Ronald Reagan. I wouldn't have voted for Reagan if he would have been in the basement and didn't come out and see the people. So my opponents are trying to paint me into the far right and say MAGA and all these things. But the people know it's just not true. Because when you put the people first, you're always going to listen. You're going to, and by the way, I said, voting is the single greatest currency we have. And it should be personal. The people of California are going to make personal decisions, as I am. So let's hold this currency. They're trying to paint me. They haven't been able to do that because the people are speaking. Our momentum is building, and we can't wait for Tuesday.
So appreciate you stopping through. It's a big mountain to climb, as you suggest, in California for someone like yourself or any candidate on the GOP side. You're in second place, it would appear, which is sort of where you need to be.
Right.
And as I say, I feel as though you seem as though you're ready to put the hard work in. And I'd love for you to come back through, and we'll hit you with some more policy stuff, should it be workable. And I really have enjoyed our time together that we've spent just personally in studio at KFI in Los Angeles. And this is really great that you stopped through here.
Mark, thanks so much. And you're right. Number one, I won't be worked because the reason I'm running is well worth getting up every day and dedicating myself. And as the next elected U.S. Senator, it'll be the greatest honor of my life. And thanks for having me. Let's do it again.
Good. Look forward to it. Steve Garvey, everybody. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.